Yes! Yes! Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, I'm jacked up today. I am jacked up today. I'm double checking. It looks like I'm good to go on Facebook. All right. So mute myself here. So I am on Facebook. I am on Twitter. I am on YouTube. So I'm very excited about that. Looks like I am good to go on all my social media links. I have got a great show for you. Let's start off with I'm not really sure how to go about saying this. To be perfectly honest, I really don't know how to do it. I'm getting my DraftKings line pulled up. I should have had that done before I went live. So my apologies to everybody. I had a special guest lined up. I'm not going to say who it is, but I had a special guest lined up, and I'm going to speculate. I'm purely speculating. I don't know the specific answer. I'm getting jacked up on my C4 sugar-free energy drink. I actually got the link to that below. You can check it out for yourself. So, Super Saiyan Lions, what's up, brother? Man, I'm jacked up, man. I'm getting jacked up. I haven't even started my energy drink, and I'm already jacked up. I'm going to get super jacked up today, but I owe everybody here an apology. All right, I'm going to start off by apologizing because I did have a guest. I had a guest lined up. Again, I'm speculating. I don't know the answer. So anybody who's been on my show knows that I just don't wing it. It may look like I'm just babbling. I'm sitting here and improvising. No, I actually have a list. I have an outline. I don't come bring people on. I don't invite you on my show and just sandbag you. So I send out like a detailed list of, hey, I'm going to ask you A, B, and C. Well, I'm speculating because this guy does parlays. And his number one parlay for Thursday night was Seattle money line, which I didn't get at all the logic. What he said on his show is that he was fading the public, which what it is that when there's a lot of sports betting going to one area, you do something called fading the public, which you do just the opposite of what the general public does. So he took Seattle money line, and he had over 43.5 that was his number one promoted parlay. Neither one of them hit. He mentioned he had a Tyler Lockett touchdown parlay and a Goodwin touchdown parlay. Of course, none of those hit. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I'm just speculating. This is pure speculation. We communicated, back and forth for a while. And as it was about 6 o'clock, an hour before I was getting ready to come on, I was going to send him the link, and it said I can't send messages to this user. I was like, that's kind of weird. So Twitter was the only social media account that I follow him on. Now that I think about it, I'm not sure if I follow him on Instagram or not. I'll do that after the show. Couldn't send him anything. And I was like, why is that? Turns out he just blocked me. And so he said he was going to watch more of my shows. So I don't recommend parlays ever. That's my thing. But is there there's something called EV, which is expected value. So if you're heavy into sports betting, you have an expected value, because if you do parlays, there is a time and a place where maybe a parlay works for you. And I was going to say, just because I don't do it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. And I think that, oh no, Dan's going to talk math and logic with us, so I don't want. That's kind of what I'm speculating, because I never recommend parlays, but there's a time. I think that he was hoping to come on and try to get my fan base excited about parlays, and maybe he was trying to sell something. Jimmy, yes, exactly. And I was going to say, hey, look, they're a lot of fun. Let me give you an example. You're doing a 3-leg parlay. You got 3 NFL teams. You're going to bet $100 each. Do you do a $50 three-team parlay after you do the 100? The answer is yes. And the reason why is if you hit 2 out of 3, you're going to miss your parlay. You're going to miss that last bet, but you still walk out of the casino with some money. It's actually better if you do 3 $100 bets to do a $25 parlay. That way, if you hit all 3, you're really hitting all 3. But would I recommend doing like only parlays as a way of betting? I would never recommend that, because you would have to. Nobody does parlays full time hits more than 30%. Nobody. If you're doing parlays and you're not doing regular bets, you're probably hitting less than 10. But when they do hit, they hit big. And I was really hoping that maybe we could, like, I was kind of hoping he would just give his perspective on the weeks, explain how he does it, talk about like his expected value on a parlay. I have no idea. I didn't know until an hour before I was coming on that he blocked me. So I'm a little embarrassed. I wasn't sure how to handle it. So I just said, okay, I'm just going to tell you the truth. I apologize to everybody out there, because I was really excited. I like having guests on. It's something I fully still intend to do. I still intend to have people on the show. But for an hour before the show, just block me. I don't know the logic behind that. Anyway, I'm done ranting and bitching. It's time for the NFL to recognize just how good the Detroit Lions are. And they will show it on Sunday, baby. You know what? I have my weekly picks video, and I forgot to put that in the link below. So I forgot to do that. So good. Amazement. I'm saving this. I am saving this. Raiders 1.5, Bears +9, Titans +3. I may go Packers -7, but I'm not sure. Bills -7. I'm leaning Bills. All right. That said, here's my 10. Well, it's funny because he had a couple of 6-leg parlays that he does all sports. He had a couple 6-leg parlays. He said barely missed. And I was like, okay, well, what kind of EV do you have? Is this money you can afford to burn? So I have no idea. I got a prop bet for Eagles-Bears game too, but I'm undecided. Well, let's do this here. Let's start off. I was going to go in order, but I'm going to talk about the Bills first, because I still got the Bills at 7. The over-under is 43.5. To be honest, 7 points is a lot for a division rival, but I'll tell you the truth here. The play I would like in this game is the over. I actually like the over. The weather in Buffalo is not going to be bad. It's going to be in the 30s, about 10-mile-an-hour wind. Buffalo shouldn't have a problem. 43.5. I like the over in this game. Cliff, this is awesome. I wanted to have somebody on with a different opinion than mine. Just because you disagree with me doesn't mean you're wrong. I mean, like 90% of the time, but I mean, not all the time. I'll be honest. I'm not fond of the Bills covering 7 against a divisional rival, but I love the over in this game, 43.5. I think that's going to hit. I think this could be a surprisingly high-scoring game. When I say surprisingly high scoring, it could be something like 27-21. You don't expect Buffalo at this time of the year to be 30 degrees. And I mean, that's like almost summer up there. I'd be kind of leaning towards the over. If you do 7, let me know. I mean, hit me up. I have all my social media links below. So let's start off here. Indianapolis Colts at Minnesota. Minnesota's a 3.5-point favorite. Over under is 47.5. Minnesota needs one win to lock up the division. I think the Colts have been playing tough, but by the way, if you look at 54-19 Sunday night against Dallas, you're probably thinking they just got blown off, and it really wasn't the case. It was actually like 24-19, and Colts had the ball, and then it was like Cowboys had like I think 3 defensive touchdowns or something crazy. It was just kind of a snowball, but it wasn't the blowout that you may think. I like the Vikings here. I don't like 3.5, but that's kind of my thought process here is Minnesota 47.5. So it's kind of a big number. Lean towards the over. I don't particularly like it. I hate 3.5. I think it opened up at 4. I'd have to go back and double check. If you can get 3 somewhere, I would definitely take that. Jimmy says he likes the Dolphins +7. I would kind of lean that too. +7 and over for that one. I have done a teaser in the past. I have done teasers in the past. I haven't done one in, I'm going to say 4 or 5 years, and I rarely recommend them. There was once this year I thought about doing a 2-way teaser once, and I think it would have hit. The only time I would do a 2-way teaser is if I get 2 home dogs that I think are going to win outright, and I would bet them to win outright, and I can get, some points. I might do a 6-point 2-way teaser. I don't recommend them hardly at all. So Cliff gets it. It's awesome that you guys get it. So I appreciate it. Funk's in the house, man. What's good, fellas? I missed getting the Dan not to bet on the Lions. You know what? Okay, I'm not doing any sports betting till after Christmas. After Christmas, I'm going to do some sports betting. Hopefully you checked out my video. I'm going to, after tonight's show, I'm going to do all the bets in the shorts. That way you can just go to Pacific Game. I meant to do that Thursday. I got kind of tied up. But I'm going to release all those in the shorts. But do check out my picks video. I didn't put the link in the description below. I apologize. I had to change up everything last minute. What happened is I had a guest for all week. He was planning on coming on, just this last minute canceled. Not sure what happened. So odds flipped on Lions Jets when it's announced Zach Wilson was starting. And that's, I apologize, because that's what I meant to start off with. Zach Wilson's going to – what was it? Zach Wilson's going to start. Brett Rippon is going to start for the Broncos. Vita Veda is out for the Bucs. That's a big one. That's a big one because it looks like Boyd and Higgins are going to play, so that's a big one. Tyler Lockett is probably out for the year, and Josh Jacobs is actually going to play. I wanted to touch base on those injuries. I should start off. So I had action on Lions +1. They're 1.5 now. If you got action on +1, great call. Great call. They're got to be favored now. The line did switch. I was actually expecting Mike White to tough it out, but to have Zach Wilson. And I'll be honest with you. Let's talk about this just for a second. In the long run, I think this is the smart move to put Zach Wilson in. But if I'm playing for 2022, I want Mike White or Joe Flacco in there. And I'm wondering who made this decision to start Zach Wilson. Was it Robert Saleh, or was it the Jets management coming in and saying, hey, we need to know what to do because the Jets might need to draft a quarterback this year? And that may be their play. I was talking to a 49ers fan. We've been messaging back and forth on some of the YouTube comments. I think Jimmy G is going to be the starting quarterback for the Jets in 2023. But you're going to have to see what you got in Zach Wilson. So I think that I'm speculating. I have no idea. I think management wants to see Zach Wilson, and they want to see what they got. He was second pick overall. If you remember, for those of you who've been with me for a while, I thought it was going to be Justin Fields because I thought Justin Fields could come in and run the very simple San Francisco offense, and they could custom do more off of Justin Fields' raw athleticism, like the Bears are doing this year. I thought that's what the Jets could do right away, and they didn't want to do that. They liked Wilson's upside better. you're seeing what they got. Long term, going into 2023 and beyond, it may be a good thing because if Zach Wilson plays well, then hey, we got our quarterback. But if you're fighting for the playoffs this year, I would go with Flacco. But that's a smart move. I'm glad you got +1. Yeah, I got one. I'm using DraftKings. So DraftKings is 1. Jimmy, the Lions have been all over the place. Probably moved 6 points up or down. Not quite that much, but there's been a lot of movement on the Lions. I've been trying to place my bets earlier in the week. That's good and bad. If you're doing prop bets, you always want to place the overs early in the week. If you're doing unders, you want to do it later in the week. With the Lions Jets, that was smart to do it early in the week. Very smart. And One Pride, thanks for pointing this out. I didn't know this. I thought he was still questionable. I didn't know this. So if Quentin Williams is out, you taking the Lions and you get a point. That's smart. Yeah, Funk. I think I haven't seen it as a pick. I saw Jets were, I think, 1.5, but I didn't know. Okay, Williams might not play. Okay, that's what I thought. He's missed a lot of practice. I think he's going to play. Yeah, and I'm by the way, Jimmy, great call here. By the way, Jimmy says allegedly Mike White wasn't cleared by the doctors, and notice he says allegedly because I agree. I agree. I've referenced this a couple times now, but have you ever seen the movie Any Given Sunday where the team doctor's talking to the owner? That's kind of what I'm picturing happening. I've got pictured the Jets are like, yeah, he's not cleared, but I don't know. I think honestly, I'm gonna tell you, I can't prove this. I think Mike White could play. He went to outside doctors. I think the dude could play. I really do. I think the dude could play. I think the dude's like, dude, I'm in New York. I got a chance to go to the playoffs. I'll play some broken fucking ribs. I'll do it. I mean, there's a lot of money at stake for Mike White, and I think he would do it. I really think the team looked at this and they say we need to see what we got in Zach Wilson. I don't know. It's hard to say, man. I personally think that if I'll be honest, if they were really trying to win, I think they would start Flacco. And here's a guy who's won a Super Bowl. A guy that, remember that regular season game against the Browns? He led them to a victory. It was like 2 touchdowns in a minute 30. Do you guys remember that? That would be the play, but they went with Mike White. I thought he played well. I don't think he's in the Jets' long-term plans. Flacco obviously isn't. I think he's 39. I could be wrong about that. But I think that they just want to see what they got in Zach Wilson. I think that they need to know, are we going to go after Jimmy G? I honestly think Jimmy G is going to be the starter in 2023 for San Francisco. That's kind of my prediction. And it makes sense. He's familiar with the coaching staff. Somebody else going back and forth with a 49ers fan on the Twitter comments says he thinks he's going to end up in Houston, which I don't see that. But, I mean, there's a lot of things in the NFL you just don't see. So, what do you think is going to happen to Purdy and Trey Lance next year? It was funny because that's a perfect segue. You know what? Me and this Niners fan was talking about. I think that the 49ers are going to bring in a veteran because I really don't think that they want Purdy to be the backup quarterback. I don't think they're really comfortable with that. Because when you go into 2023, Trey Lance is going to be the starting quarterback. I don't think that they really want Purdy to be the backup because there's a good chance he could be the starter. They're going to bring in a veteran. I have no idea who. But there is going to be a veteran that's going to be brought in. Is it going to be somebody like Driscoll, who's with the Houston Texans? Could it be somebody, I don't know, Matt Ryan? Matt Ryan and Shanahan were together in San Francisco. There's rumors Tom Brady could want to play in San Francisco for a year. Do you do that and let Trey Lance sit on the bench? I don't see that. But there's a lot of veteran quarterbacks out there. you take a veteran quarterback and you say, hey, you're going to compete with Purdy? That's what I think is going to happen. I don't know who, but I think they're going to bring in another veteran quarterback. It could be somebody like Mitchell Trubisky. That actually makes a lot of sense. I think Mitchell Trubisky and that Shanahan offense makes a lot of sense. That's what I think is going to happen. Trey Lance is going to start. How much faith they have in him is up in the air, but you don't use that many draft picks to just, hey, they went all in on him. He broke his ankle, and I think they have to have a viable backup option. I don't think that they're going to bank on Purdy. So they're going to bring in a veteran. Now, here's what's going to happen. Purdy and this veteran are going to go back and forth, and I think they'll give Purdy a chance in practice and in OTAs and mini camps. And if Purdy improves, then he'll get the shot. But is he going to get competition? 100%. 100%. That's my take. The Lions are probably the healthiest team in the league right now. They are the healthiest they've been all year. The only thing I'm worried about is cold weather games and golf's history in them. You're 100% right. And this is the most important thing, is that it's not really who's the best team. It's who's the healthiest. And the Lions are very healthy right now. You know what? I lied to you guys. I only got half. I'm in the second quarter of the Vikings Lions game. I apologize. But your starting right guard was out. I forget who his backup was. He actually didn't play bad. The one thing, and I haven't watched the whole game, the one thing that really stood out that I haven't seen from the Lions all year, and I do know that the Vikings offensive line's banged up and not that good anyway. I was really surprised at how much the Lions defensive line won the line of scrimmage. There was a lot of pressure just with base packages. I didn't see a lot of blitzing from the Lions, and I'll watch the whole game. So you have to tell me if I'm just making shit up or not. I didn't see a lot of blitzing, but I saw the defensive line consistently put pressure on Cousins, and I was very impressed. If you can win the line of scrimmage, if the Lions defensive line can win the line of scrimmage in any game, they're going to win that game because their offensive line is good enough, and they have enough offensive playmakers that they can put up 24 points a game. Right? So you get 24 points a game and your defense wins the line of scrimmage. You're going to win a lot of games. And that's one thing that I love about the Lions right now. They're entering the playoffs healthy and ready to go. And with Seattle losing, that's big because Seattle does hold tiebreaker. But if you're both 7-7, you got 3 games left. Do you know who Seattle plays next week? They come to Arrowhead. They play the Chiefs. So your favorite AFC team gets to play Seattle. So you're in for a big treat. Double reason for you to cheer for the Chiefs. Chiefs are your favorite AFC team, and they play the Seahawks with the Lions playoff berth just ready. Just ready. I see the Jags Cowboys as a trap game with the Eagles on deck next Saturday. Jags do have weapons to upset the Dallas line from the Texans game last week. You know what? I'm seeing a lot of people like the Jags. A lot of people like the Jags. You are not alone in this. You are not alone in this because there's a lot of people that really like the Jaguars. I'm seeing it all over social media. This is kind of everybody's trendy upset pick. I don't think so, personally, because I think Dallas is really thinking to themselves that they can get that 1 seed. I'm gonna go over that game. I'm gonna go in order, but I bounced around from Miami. But I'll go over that. But I will say this: it wouldn't surprise me if Jacksonville won, but I'm leaning towards Dallas. But I'll go over that game. This may be it for Wilson if he can't get the win Sunday. I mean, he has to play well and win, not win because of the defense. He has to make plays. I think that he's going to get the next couple of weeks. I think unless he just shits himself this week and gets benched, unless he goes like 9 out of 24 for 73 yards and 3 picks, he has got to play well. But I think he's going to get the next couple of weeks as an opportunity. But like, is this going to be it? Yeah. I really think that the Jets are – the reason why he's playing is not because he's the best option. I think the brass is saying we need to see what we got in this guy because we need to know if we're going to get – like I said, I think I'm going to stand by this. I think Jimmy G is going to be a starting quarterback for the Jets next year. We need to see what we have in Wilson. Is he the guy that you took the second overall pick on this guy? Second overall pick. You can't just throw him away. You got to see what you got. I would roll with Mike White. That's what I would do. But yeah, short week for the Jets too. They play Thursday versus the Jags. May see Flacco now. You could see Flacco. You could see Mike White. I think that they're just going to roll with Wilson and see what they got. Lions win 28-14. All right. I like it. I don't. Beat writer said it doesn't look good. I don't be. Wait, are you talking about Mike White or Quinnen Williams? Quinnen Williams said, okay, so One Pride 40 saying I don't. Beat writer said no good. He's talking about Quinnen Williams because I thought he was going to play even though he hasn't practiced, but beat writer said doesn't look good. For those of you that don't know, Quinnen Williams is an absolute monster, and he's playing like I hate to say this, but like that's kind of what he reminds me of. He reminds me of like in a diet Aaron Donald. Like he was playing crazy good. Seriously, he was. If he played the whole game against the Bills, I'm not sure the Bills win that game. I mean, he was just killing the Bills. I mean, he was unblockable. And for those of you that don't know, he is the 6th overall pick coming out of Alabama. He was probably the best player. I mean, he was really good. He slipped the 6. The Jets, he just kept getting injured. I wasn't sure if he'd really fit into the wide 9. And the light bulb went off this year, and he's been playing like a monster. I mean, just an absolute monster. So if he doesn't play, it's a good thing for the Lions. Keys, what's up, brother? All I can say is fantasy football quarterfinals, and I'm starting the Lions D this week. You know what? Good luck, brother. By the way, he was on I didn't put the link in it. I'm sorry. He was on Chief Concerns, which has I'm kind of geeked out by this because Jason Dunn was one of my all-time favorite Chiefs players. He played Chiefs. He played tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs in the late 90s. No. Was it late 90s? It was in the 2000s. No, it's just the 2000s, I think. Anyway, Jason Dunn was on there, and Keys and Jason Dunn kind of had a little back and forth. It was really cool because like a former NFL player was like, man, Keys, this dude has some insight. So it was kind of cool. I was kind of geeked out about it. If Keys, by the way, if you ever get a chance, can you ask Jason Dunn how aware was he of the point spread when he was a player? I'm dying to know what an NFL player admits. I'm going to tell you this. Like, I don't think any NFL coach will admit it, but all NFL coaches know what the point spread is. So 28 on that Jets D will be impressive. One Pride. It will be without Quinnen Williams, definitely possible. Lions players eat their Wheaties. If he has broken ribs, no honest doctor will clear him, especially if all the Tua stuff, Flacco or Felco. That's really good. I heard that they're not broken. They're fractured or they're cracked. There's a difference between crack and broken. We'll have to see. I got Fields going for my money league. The only thing that worries me if they get behind me, throws a few picks. Yeah. Depending on how your league's set up, how they do for rushing yards and touchdown, because I do think that he is going to have a rushing touchdown. 2021 quarterback class looks bad except for Jones and T. Law. I would argue Fields, sort of, kind of, but yeah, I mean, and that's the one thing when you take a quarterback, when you get quarterback early, it's only 50-50 if that guy's going to hit, and there's so many external factors that got to be right. Like in Jacksonville, they finally got the right coach. They did good in free agency, bringing in players. They brought in Evan Ingram. Christian Kirk. They try to kind of fix up the offensive line. They signed Cam Robinson. That's what I was trying to think of. They signed Cam Robinson to a 3-year extension right before the draft. Which to be honest, I still thought they were going to take Evan Neal anyway. But anyway, that's long and short. But yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's too soon to say. But yeah, I can say I would put Fields in there because Fields does look good. I keep hearing Brady rumors with the Raiders too, reuniting with McDaniels. The Raiders have so many good options. Either Brady, they actually do. They actually do. I don't see that happening. I think Carr's going to be the guy, but we'll find out. Brady going to retire? He could. He could. I think he's going to come back for one more year. I think he's going to stay in Tampa, but we'll have to see what happens. It's one of the best stories that's going to go with this offseason is going to be great. There's so many great stories. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But I do think I do. It's really weird. Me and Keith are agreeing here. I can't see Brady retiring after a mediocre season. I think you have to experience multiple seasons to accept part of him. Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I did know that. Yeah, I did. The only player the Lions offense missing is the right guard spot. Wait till you see James Houston. You haven't seen the guy. Look up this. I have, and I'll be honest, I didn't know anything about him. So I started watching him. I'm like, this guy can move. And it'll be interesting because this is a guy this offseason. Is he going to put on the NFL 20, like I like to call it? Because this is a guy that needs to put on the NFL 20, because if he comes into training camp with an additional 20, 25 pounds, I'm saying 20 to 25 pounds. It could be arbitrary. It could be 10. It could be 25. He's a guy who needs an NFL weight room. All right. If he comes in bigger, stronger, and faster, which if you're from a small school, a lot of times an NFL weight room looks completely different. I remember Jameis Winston, when he went, there was he was coming out to the draft and they did some promotional thing at the University of Michigan. He talked about the University of Michigan. He was blown away. He says it made Florida State, the Florida State weight room look like a junior high. And I was kind of surprised he said that, I mean, right before the draft, that's kind of a dumb thing to say, but he was just in awe because Michigan spent a lot of money renovating their weight room. And if you're from an HBCU school, did I get that right? HBC, small school. You see an NFL weight room, and you are able to work with an NFL weight staff. You may be able to completely transform your body in an off season. And is he going to do that? Because if he does, then he could be a starter because the highlights are great. If he has an offseason, I've also seen this happen. You're a rookie, a late round rookie or an undrafted pick, and you get with an NFL team, you flash, you play well, you come into season 2 thinking, I'm just going to do the same thing, and everybody else got better and you stayed the same, and you don't even make the team. I've seen a lot of undrafted rookies have a few splash plays in the NFL, then come into year 2 and you never hear from them again. So that's what that could happen. I saw one deep pass, and I saw the 42-yard touchdown, of course, the Jameson Williams, but I didn't see that. I saw the accuracy and I saw the way he's playing, and he's always been a what I call a natural passer. Doesn't have a big time arm. Nobody's ever going to see, but he was a guy that had a lot of accuracy. That's what made him number 1 pick in the draft, was that he's an accurate guy who can get back there and just kind of pick you apart. But I like the way he's playing now. God, I'm behind. I'm going to try to keep this short. In the NFL, you have the tractor or you have the trailer. All right. And that's how quarterbacks are broken up too. And what you're doing in the NFL, if you don't have a top 10 quarterback, you want to get a top 10 quarterback because your goal is to get the tractor. All right. You want to get the guy who can pull your team. Now, can you win with the trailer, which is if you got everything else right, you get the guy who stabilizes your team, and that's what the trailer is. If you, I've driven an I still have an active CDL, so I used to drive over the road. A lot of times, it's easier to drive with a trailer on the back than it is with just bobtailing. It's kind of weird when you bobtail. It feels weird. So that trailer actually provides stability. And you can put everything in. There's a lot of ways you can use the analogy. So hopefully you understand it and it works out. I'm stealing this from Daniel Jeremiah of the NFL Network. So Jared Goff is the trailer, which means that you got to have everything else right. You have to have playmakers on defense, which the Lions have. You have to have a good offensive line, which the Lions have. You have to have playmakers on offense that can do things without, the elite quarterback, which the Lions have. So you can be the trailer. You can be Goff and you can win. Is he a top 10 quarterback? No. Is he a guy that can pull you to victory against a team with superior coaching, superior talent? Probably not. Can he get you to the Super Bowl? Yes, because he went to a Super Bowl. He already proved that. If everything else is right with the Rams, can you win with Goff? The answer is yes. Is he a guy that's going to lead you to victory against a superior team? No. Don't get mad. This is just truth. This is just truth. So, Cliff is a Jags fan among others, but I think I do too, man. I really do too. I think that he's just Dallas is playing for the number 1 seed, and I don't think they come out flat. I think they surprised them. So. The one to Chark was pretty. The other one to JMO was underthrown. Well, the JMO one, it was blown coverage. It really didn't matter. Thank God they blew the coverage plus JMO plus speed, Ben Johnson. It does. There's a lot of things. If you're a Lions fan, get excited, get pumped up because Seattle comes to Arrowhead. I think you kind of know what I think is going to happen. And it's your favorite AFC team. So you're in great position to make that number 7 spot. And by the way, if you have the number 7 spot in the playoffs, more than likely the number 2 seed is going to be Minnesota. I think everybody wants to see Minnesota and the Lions in the playoffs. I know I do. I'm not even an NFC guy. Brady back to New England. That would be funny. I would actually love that, man. I would love that. Denver Gator. He probably wouldn't be too mad. He's a great guy. We're kind of. He was helping me out doing some picks, and he's got some personal issues. I don't want to speculate, but he may be in later. But he has some issues right now. I'll just leave it at that. But he's doing good. He's doing good. He may not be in tonight. Hopefully he does, but he may not be in, and that's okay. At least for me, it's okay. So when we look at the Jets, take a good look at the quarterbacks they have faced. And remember, for the first time, they played Allen. Didn't go well for him like when he was hurt. It's a real interesting group. Well, the Jets defense, when they got Quinnen Williams, is among the best in the NFL. And they do got some really good edge rushers. The defensive unit is good. Sauce Gardner might be the best corner in football. The secondary solid. Robert Saleh's doing an excellent job. Like I said, what really impressed me, and I didn't get to watch the whole game, but I was really impressed with the Lions' defensive line controlling the line of scrimmage against Minnesota. They really won that battle, and I did not expect that. I already know the score. I already know the box score. So, like when I'm watching it, I'm trying to look for things I wouldn't see from a box score. And that's the number one thing that stood out to me. I didn't see any of the golf bombs. I'm about midway through the second quarter. I saw the big pass to Jameson Williams, blown coverage, smart play. I mean, to be honest, any veteran quarterback should see that, but it's good that you took advantage of it. And it's really, by the way, what I really loved is Jameson Williams celebrated for 5 minutes straight. He was sprinting, he was jacked up, and that type of enthusiasm is infectious for a team, because I think the team really likes this kid. I think the team and everybody is kind of supportive of this kid. Jameson Williams does need the NFL 20, man. He does need it. I got here. Did you cover it? No, I did not. I have been talking and ranting and jacked up. I've only got through. I haven't even got through Saturday yet, James. Welcome to the show, man. I'm behind on comments. I'm going to get through the comments. I'm going to get through every game. I am going to talk about your Lions. Dan Goff reminds me of Scott Mitchell. When everything is smooth around him, they are real solid. Once things get, I could see that. I could see that. He's a completely – Scott Mitchell was built like an NFL tight end. Scott Mitchell was like 6'6", 240. But it was really weird because despite of how big he was, he had a really weak arm. It was kind of weird because like he probably had one of the 10 weakest arms in the NFL, but he was a real accurate passer, but he was a massive dude. He was like 6'6", 240. And it'll be really interesting. That's kind of an interesting comparison. I can't really argue with that, even though physically they're completely different. But yeah. To me, Dallas depends on how they come out. Dak heavy or playing a Tony Pollard game. And it's funny because like there's two different schools of thought in which running back's better, Pollard or Zeke. And there's, I'm stealing your line here, is that, it seems to be on like both ends of the spectrum. You're heavy one way or heavy the other. But when they use Zeke on the short yardage situations and he's successful, then that's when Pollard really blows up. But when I watch Dallas, if I had to choose between two, I would easily go with Pollard. I think he's a free agent this year, and he's probably going to be too expensive for Dallas to keep unless they want to move on from Zeke. And I don't know the way Zeke's contract's set up, but Pollard should have a good game. Zeke should have a good game. It's going to be interesting because the one thing about Jacksonville is that of all the teams in the AFC South, Jacksonville's the team that going forward in let's just call it the 20s, that's the team that easily has the brightest future. That front seven is young, fast, super talented. They got some youth in the secondary. They need to add to that. And then in Trevor Lawrence is a guy that hasn't really hit that potential yet, but out of all the quarterbacks in the AFC South, which one do you want? And I think you got to go with Lawrence easily. So, do I think they have arrived yet? No, I don't. I'll be honest. I would not be surprised if Jacksonville won, but I expect Dallas to. Does that make sense? Where that funky. I honestly think that Mitchell had a few really good seasons, but in the play, I'll forget. Was it 58-37 against Philly in the playoffs? He threw for 4 interceptions. So, I actually don't remember that. I don't remember that. I actually thought he was a pretty nice guy. So. And golf is salty off the. It's kind of funny. Oh yeah, there is. There's a lot of people that think that if a lot of people think that Pollard's success comes directly from Zeke Elliott doing all the tough work. Because if you look at yards per carry, I mean Pollard's almost a yard higher than Zeke, but Zeke gets all the touchdowns and all the 3rd and 1 and all the 4th and 1. But yeah, there's a lot of people that think Zeke's the best. I'm never completely objective about anything, but I try to be in the middle. But every time I've watched Dallas, Pollard leaps out more, and I also know that Zeke's contract is a big one. And when you have a lot of money invested in a running back, and he's close to average or above average. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Zeke's not a top 5 running back. I think he's getting top 5 or top 10 running back money, but there's a lot of people that think that, believe it or not. It's like I said, it's kind of weird when we agree, but yeah, I think Pollard is better, and yeah, Pollard's a free agent, so I think he can get a lot of money somewhere. And to be honest with you, the Mike McCarthy offense is set up for a player like Pollard. It's not really set up for a player like Zeke. Zeke's not a bad receiver, and he's decent pass protection. But, Mike McCarthy, he wants to line up with 3 receivers, a pass-catching tight end, and he wants to throw to the running back. And that's kind of his ideal offense, is a 60, 65, probably more like 65, 70% pass. I mean, he wants to throw the ball all over the place, and that offense is much better set up for Pollard. I don't know I don't know the specifics on Zeke's contract, but Pollard, that's going to be a tough re-sign. Unless you have unless you set up like a bunch of incentives, that are easy to get, it's going to be hard to say. Interesting. One of many great stories this offseason. It's going to be one of the best off seasons I've ever seen. Brady doesn't have that strong of an arm either, though. No, he doesn't have that, Mahomes, Josh Allen arm talent, arm strength, but he's got a better arm than most people think. 2022, I would put Goff and Brady maybe the same, but throughout history, Brady's had a much stronger arm than Goff. I think we signed Deron Payne in free agency. That would be an excellent signing, by the way. That would be a phenomenal signing. I'm pretty sure Funk's seen this, and if not, follow me on social media, but I've seen a lot of stuff with Jalen Carter. Is that right? Jalen Carter, the Georgia defensive tackle, having character issues that may drop him in the draft. And if that's the case, because the way that it works out right now, I think Chicago picks 2 or 3, and I'd be shocked if Chicago didn't take Jalen Carter right away. That to me is kind of like a no-brainer. But if this guy dips in the draft, I know Funk wants to pick. That's Funk's draft crush, if I remember right. So let's move on. Second Saturday game, Baltimore at Cleveland. Cleveland's now a 2.5-point favorite. The over-under is 38.5. I didn't see that Lamar Jackson's 100% rolled out. I was a little busy right before the show, so I didn't see that. It looks like he's not going to play. Brett Hundley might not be ready to go. If they have to go with, I think it's Dennis Allen, or is that the Saints head coach? Undrafted rookie free agent out of Oregon. I know that. I actually watched some plays. Actually not bad. I like Baltimore, by the way. I don't care who's starting. I think they really get it done. J.K. Dobbins is healthy. And dude, this guy is really good, folks. He just can't stay healthy, but he's healthy now. I like the Ravens here. I don't care who's playing quarterback. I should have had the official word before I got the show. If you tuned in late, I had some weird things happen right before the show. I had to change some things on the thumbnail, the description. I kind of want to drive on that too much because I'm kind of mad about that. But anyway, life happens. I like the Ravens here. So I'll just leave it at that. I don't even know who's playing quarterback, and I still like the Ravens. It's going to be a great Saturday game. Finally, Miami at Buffalo. We kind of talked about earlier. Buffalo's 7-point favorite. Over-under is 43.5. I like Buffalo to win. I would lean towards – I think this is going to be a close game, so I think Miami covers, and I do like the over-under. The weather for Buffalo in mid-December is going to be like summer. It's going to be like 30 and like a 10-mile-an-hour wind. So Cowboys can cut Zeke pre-June – all right, sorry. I can talk. Cowboys can cut Zeke pre-June 1st with an 18.11. Jesus Christ, I cannot read and talk. Cowboys can cut Zeke pre-June 1st with an 11.8 million dead cap, post-June 1st for a 5.8 million dead cap in 2023 and 4.3 in 2024. That's actually not bad. That actually makes a lot of sense. So what happened is, so I'm on DraftKings, and okay, I just had to refresh. Yeah, I definitely think that's what they would do. I think they take Will Anderson. They need an edge. They might. I would build inside out That's what I would do, and I'd be leaning towards that. That's kind of what Chicago wants to do. But it's hard to say. It's hard to say, man. It's hard to say. But it's definitely a possibility. We're into a lot of draft stuff here. Zeke will be 28 next year. That is, oh God, that's a big number. I think Houston takes a young Seahawks take Stroud, Bears take Anderson, we take Carter. So Houston takes the Seahawks. Bryce. So Houston takes Young. Seahawks take Stroud. Bears take Anderson. We take Carter. I don't see Seattle going quarterback. I really don't. But I get that. I get that. And seriously, that would take that would be. I'll be honest with you. That would be a Detroit dream. But I'm going to tell you this right now. Seattle's the wild card because I don't think they're going quarterback, and nobody knows what Seattle's going to do in the draft. Let's just be honest. They really don't. Nobody knows. So the best quarterbacks the Jets have played and won against were Allen and Rodgers. Both quarterbacks played hurt in those games. The rest of the quarterbacks they played against with wins were two rookies and backups. So the best quarterbacks Jets played against it. Hey, look, I haven't got to that game yet, but we'll talk about it. My name and Dan. It's not the Coke. So I think there's reason to suspect their defense a little bit. There is. If Dan protests that it isn't the Coke, we all know it's because what a Coke is. And Denver can beat the Cards. Well, it's going to be interesting. We're going to have Brett Rippon start that game. All right. Let's start with Sunday's games here. Kansas City plays Houston. Houston's a 14-point home dog. The over-under is 49.5. By the way, if you like the over on this game, I think it opened up at like 46.5. So if you like the over, you should have bet it Monday. 49.5 is definitely possible. I'm telling you this right now because I'm a Chiefs fan. I really don't think the Chiefs are going to cover 14. I almost want to bet Houston here. And the over 49.5 is probably going to hit. But if you like the over, you should have bet it earlier. I think it opened at like 46.5, and it's just been skyrocketing. So, by the way, you could also look at, I don't have the prop bets available, but Kelsey prop bet, Juju Smith-Schuster prop bet, all those I think would be solid. I think on my picks, I predicted 34-24. That to me seems fair. I like Houston to cover, Kansas City to win, and the over is probably a pretty solid bet. Philly at Chicago. Chicago's an 8.5-point home dog. The over-under is 48.5. God, I would not take the Eagles to cover 8.5, but I like the Eagles to cover 8.5. What was it? I think it was Slasher who's going to start Justin Fields on his fantasy football playoffs. Be careful. I think he gets a rushing touchdown, goes over 60 yards rushing. Passing, you don't know what's going to happen. I like Philly to cover. I would never take an NFL team to cover 8.5. Well, I can't say never, but it's rare. 48.5. The weather's going to be nice in Chicago. That's a tough one. I would lean against it, but I kind of like the over, so Kyler. By the way, if you don't know, I thought we touched this. We may not have. Kyler Murray did tear his ACL. He's out for the year. He's not only out for the year, he's probably not going to start for several weeks into 2023. Some people think it could be like Thanksgiving. Could come back earlier. We'll have to see. I mean, it's a different world that we live in. An ACL you can now rehab it in 6 months. There's a lot to say. Could you imagine Payne and Carter on the same line? That's almost unblockable. Oh God, that would be a lot of fun. That would be a lot of fun. That would be a lot of fun. I'll be honest. I'll be honest. I could see something where if Seattle takes the second pick, and you never know what they're going to do, but I could see Seattle if they do have the number 2 pick, and we're not sure about that yet. But let's just say they do. I could see Seattle taking Carter. I really could, because that just makes a lot of sense. That's a guy I could see. Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll, a lot of people don't remember. He's a former NFL defensive coordinator. I really, really, really think that he could fall in love with this kid. Daron Payne would be an excellent free agent signing for the Lions. That's an excellent call. That just makes sense. All right. Denver Gators in the house. Nobody missed you, Denver Gator. Actually, everybody missed you. There was like 3 people. It's like, where the fuck's Denver Gator at? So I'm glad you're here, man. I'm glad you're here, man. And by the way, Denver Gator, in case you're late, the guest I had just canceled last minute. His vagina hurt. So a little love for Denver Gator. Denver Gator, I picked up your Detroit Lions defense in fantasy. By the way, Keith, best of luck. Please hit me up and let me know how you're doing in your fantasy football playoffs. Do let me know. Payne, Carter, and Hutch. Dude, seriously, that would be a lot of fun. I mean, just forget being a Lions fan. This is just an NFL fan. That would be fun, and especially if Houston puts on the NFL 20. That could be a lot of fun. By the way, guys, in case you haven't already, everybody here is a regular for the most part. I recognize everybody's made a comment so far, so probably I'll subscribe. But just in case, hit the subscribe button. Do give me a thumbs up, like the video, and please share this YouTube community. It's a great community because of you guys, a little bit because of me. But do share this channel. I'm trying my best to grow it, and I'm at, I think it's 866. I haven't checked it, but I'm getting close to 900, which is like I'm pretty giddy about it. So it would mean the world to me. So next up, we got Dallas at Jacksonville. Finally, we get this game. Jacksonville's a 4-point home dog. Over under is 48. I like Dallas in this one. I know that Dallas could look ahead, and I love the way Jacksonville's been playing. I do like the way Jacksonville's been playing, and Jacksonville's kind of a strange home field. I'll be honest, I have no idea what the fan base in Jacksonville is like right now. If somebody's in Florida wants to tell me, because I could see this being a rowdy crowd. I could see this being 2/3 empty. I really don't know. I think Dallas is going to show up here. I really think they're going to take care of business and get it done. Even though both teams have been good at times on defense, I'm slightly leaning towards over. And the reason why is I could see Jacksonville getting some late minute touchdown. I do like Dallas to cover 4. Again, I'm not betting this game, but I kind of lean towards Dallas here. I think that they're really trying to make a push to get the number 1 seed. So that's kind of my thought process. The percentage changes almost by the minute, but they're 86% to win the matchup. The Lions have been fortunate with the draft picks, though. The Lions have done a fantastic job drafting, and John Dorsey, when he was here in Kansas City, also did a fantastic job. His first draft in Kansas City, he got a tight end out of Ohio in the 3rd round by the name of Travis Kelce. I remember when they drafted him, I was like, who the fuck's this? And so, like, if you draft a player, Tyreek Hill in the 5th round the next year. So, I mean, he's really hit on some late round draft picks. He's always been pretty good at that. And you've done an excellent job drafting. That's kind of the reason why I didn't like to trade up, is because you've been hitting so many draft picks. Wouldn't you want more draft picks? And that's something I can see in this draft, is you guys trading down, get more players. It'll be interesting. That's awesome. Hatters House 710. Yo, go Lions. Speaking of that, next game on the docket here. Words are hard. Detroit at the Jets. The Jets are now a 1-point home dog. This is flipped. This was 1, maybe 1.5, depending on which sportsbook you're using. The over-under has also dropped. It's now 44. I believe that was I want to say I think it's 45.5. I could also just be making random stuff up. This is awesome. This is awesome. This is awesome. Hatters out. By the way, that thumbnail is badass. That is really awesome. Denver Gators thumbnail is also awesome, and Denver Gator is drinking the Kool-Aid. God, yeah. After last week's win, I have but food. I have. I promise. I know how to read and talk. I promise. After last week's win, I have but blue food coloring in my water system. I love it. I love it. And by the way, he says but he means put. Yeah, I know that. I know that. You know that. Everybody here knows that. And I think it's awesome. Drink the Kool-Aid, Lions fans. If Carter's off the board, I can see a trade. I can see a quarterback. I can see a trade. I can see Will Anderson. I'll tell you the name that really stands out to me, and I think he's going to end up being one of the first 5 picks in the draft, and I just forgot his name. Tyree Wilson, the defensive end, edge rush, if you will, out of Texas Tech, because I think he's going to just dominate the combine. I think he's going to show that he can be in a 3-4 or a 4-3. I think NFL teams are falling in love with this kid. He is rapidly rising up the draft board. Right before I came on, I was reading an article in the NFL Network, top 20 prospects in the Senior Bowl. Tyree Wilson was number 1. I think he's going to be a top 5 pick. Pay attention because he's a guy very similar to Aiden Hutchinson. I think that he could be a Detroit Lion. And because he can play, he's big enough to be a 4-3 defensive end. He has the athleticism to be a 3-4 outside linebacker. And I think he may end up going before Will Anderson because he's like going to be 6'5", 6'6", 270, 275. It'll be interesting to see what he does. But I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. He's going to go before Will Anderson in the draft. And he's a guy that don't be surprised he ends up being a Detroit Lion. I think that, by the way, if he does get picked by the Lions, you're going to fall in love with this kid. You're going to love this kid because he can do a lot of different things and he has a high motor. I think you're really going to love this kid. 21-13, Lions stamp it. Another 2-score win. Okay. Here's the drill. I'm sorry, Lions fans. I like the Lions. I like the Lions. I didn't care who the quarterback was for the Jets. It's Tyree Wilson. Have I been saying that? Did I get it wrong again? But yeah, I seriously, he's going to go before Will Anderson. I'm going to predict that. I think he's going to go top 5. And it wouldn't surprise me if the Lions pick number 4 if they take this guy. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I think he's going to be really good. And also, this is a guy that can play defensive end. He can play outside linebacker. And I kind of think that that's kind of what you're building on defense. I think you're kind of building a multifaceted hybrid 3-4-4-3 scheme. Keep in mind, if you did this, you would be putting James Houston on the back burner. So, and nobody expected Trayvon Walker to go number 1. Yeah, you're right. I mean, Trayvon Walker was a late first-round draft pick. Then he gets to the combine, so you don't know. But anyway, I'm sorry, Lions fans. I like the Lions. I didn't care who was quarterback. I think the Jets are kind of. I think they're kind of falling apart. The defense is really good, but the Lions' offense is good. The offensive line and the defensive line of the Jets, especially if Williams either being banged up or not playing, is a slight advantage towards the Lions. After watching the way their defense played against the Vikings, I was really impressed, and I didn't think it would be that good. But the Jets' offensive line is banged up. You have questions at quarterback, so I like the Lions this week. The weather's not going to be bad. 44 for the Lions Jets is kind of a weird number. I would lean slightly towards over, but I would pass on that. I do like the Lions. If I was betting, I would probably take the Lions to cover the 1, which is weird because if you go on DraftKings, well, it's not. Okay, I'm sorry, I misread that. You can take -1 from -110. You can take the money line from -115. If you're smart like Jimmy did, he took the Lions +1 earlier in the week, and that was real smart. So I like the Lions. I actually like the Lions a lot. So I'm sorry, Lions fans, because I've been picking them wrong all year. But I like them against the Jets. I like them a lot, to be honest. It wouldn't surprise me if you use your first round pick on an elite player or quarterback, and then let's just call it 15. Even though if you get into the playoffs, it would be 20 something, and then use that other one to trade back because you got 2 picks in the second round. You can get a little creative there. So English is a tough first language for some people. By the way, I do have the links for my C4 sugar-free energy drink. I have the link, my Amazon link, in the description below. So I'm trying really hard to get into affiliate marketing, try to promote my brand. So check out some of the links I have. You can also buy me a cup of coffee. And it is coffee, which I'm not drinking now. I had some coffee earlier. Hopefully I've been saying that right. If Quentin Williams doesn't play, it should be a long. I agree completely. And he's got to be, if he does play, he's got to be at like over 80. He's got to be effective. He is raw. He's raw because they use him in different formations. He doesn't really have a set position. He's very raw. Yeah. Well, this is my early prediction. I'm going to watch the Senior Bowl. I really want to see not the game. I want to see how he practices, but I think he's going to go top 5. I think he's going to go over Will Anderson. I think teams are going to love that he's a defensive end size with outside linebacker skill set. I think he's going to dominate the combine. I think Will Anderson is going to be a guy that has to be an outside linebacker, and I think he's going to come in at like 240, 245. And I think that Will Anderson's a guy that may start slipping down board. So blaming energy drinks is like blaming Hustler for I don't care. Yeah, I seriously don't. I do like the Lions, so I apologize for you Detroit fans that I like them this week because I've been picking the Lions wrong all year. If we lose, we are I'm sorry. I like the Lions this week. I think the only way the Lions lose this game if Campbell screws it up. So one pride, love it. I just hope you beat the Jets. Hate the Jets. Well, Denver Gators a big time Chiefs fan, and so it's weird. It's weird. All right. Next up, Atlanta plays the Saints. Saints are a 4-point favorite. Over-under is 43.5. For those of you who don't know, rookie Desmond Ridder is getting his first start. To me, this is kind of like the Falcons waving the white flag here. Apparently, there was some issues with Marcus Mariota. He supposedly left the team after the decision was made. I haven't been following up on this too much, but he's not even going to be the backup. Really weird situation. By the way, for those of you that aren't aware, the GM and brand new head coach last year completely disagreed on what the Falcons should do. The GM wanted to get a quarterback. The coach wanted Kyle Pitts, and they ended up going with Kyle Pitts. And so anytime you have a GM and a head coach that aren't on the same page, but when you get a brand new rookie first-time head coach and a brand new general manager, I think he's a first-time general manager, and they already disagree and it's public, that's not a good thing. And then now you get this situation where they bring in Marcus Mariota. He's not the guy. You're going to go with Desmond Ridder. It's a weird situation. It's something you kind of want to monitor because if you're a Falcons fan, this is not really a good sign. To be perfectly honest with you, because I don't think Marcus Mariota's played terrible. He hasn't played good, but I do think he's the best option to win, which is a rivalry game on the road for a playoff spot, and you're going with a rookie who hasn't played all year. Bottom line, Desmond Ridder shines. He's going to be the guy going into 2023. And I did expect Desmond Ridder to play. I just thought it would be not in this situation. The Saints defense is really good, folks. They should have won. They should have beat the Bucs a couple weeks ago. They had a bye. The Saints are in position to win this division still. Believe it or not, they're 4-9 and they could win this division. I really like the Saints here, even though anything could go in this game. I like the Saints. 43.5 is a low number. I like the under. This game to me is like a 23-7 feel. I like the Saints a lot here, so that's kind of my play. I'm really high on Desmond Ridder. He was my favorite quarterback coming out of last year's draft. I thought he would get a shot much sooner. I actually thought there was a really good chance he could start right away. But that situation in Atlanta is kind of toxic, and kind of pay attention to that, because if you have a general manager and a head coach that aren't on the same page, you have a lot of problems there in Atlanta potentially. So I'm going to get some of my comments here. Denver, we had that special orange stuff. Jesus Christ. Do you think the Packers should just play Love once they're eliminated and see if he can play or not? They can showcase some other teams, someone else interested. If they're out of playoff contention completely, they're mathematically eliminated. They should. I don't know what they're going to do. I have no idea how much Aaron Rodgers has input on this, how much influence he has on the team. He may just say, hey, I'm playing. That's kind of an interesting situation. I think Love's going to stay in Green Bay no matter what, because I think that the timetable is starting to speed up on when Rodgers leaves. I mean, Brett Favre played with the Jets and then the Vikings. So, I mean, it's happened quite a bit in NFL history when you're a Hall of Fame quarterback and you end up on another team. So we may be seeing that timetable sped up a little bit. Do I think the Packers should? Absolutely. I'm still kind of floored at how bad they are, but yeah, absolutely they should. But if there's a chance, then you want your best quarterback to play, and that definitely is Rodgers still. Amazement when they cool. Yeah, my liver can't handle all the Kool-Aid, and you guys are drinking it. Enjoy it. I want you to live it up. So it's pretty much Eagles, Niners, Dallas, Chiefs, Bills, Bengals. I figure two of these teams will be in the Super Bowl. I could see that. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that I would throw in there. That's kind of good, to be honest. I like it. I like it. Now I'm good, man. Changed my diet and beverage intake for health's sake. I was hospitalized. I remember that. I'm glad you're okay, man. I'm glad you're okay, brother. I really am. We were like, where the hell are you? I'm glad you're doing good. Falcons are a mess. They really are. That's not a good situation to throw a rookie quarterback in, especially a team that's fresh off a bye. That's really something I'm kind of going to monitor this offseason. So we get 4 sacks on the MILF. Vance Joseph coming back to Denver. Broncos definitely need this one to save face. You know what? I would be interesting. Are you talking defensive coordinator or head coach? I'll be honest. Vance Joseph coming back as a head coach is kind of an interesting call here. If we win the division, get knocked out early in the playoffs, what should we do, Dan? Move on from Leftwich, move on from Brady, and start Trask, get a bridge quarterback, and draft one next year. Okay. By the way, this is probably what will happen, because I think you're going to win the West, and I think you're going to win the AFC. I'm going to get it right. Third time's a charm. NFC South. I can do this. Okay. So you're probably going to play Dallas. All right, more than likely, you could play Philly if that would be some weird shit, but okay. So you're probably going to play Dallas. All right, 4 versus 5. Let's just say Dallas wins. All right, with move on from Leftwich, that's going to be Leftwich's call, and If you're Leftwich, it's you're going to stay or you're going to get an NFL head coaching job, unless and this is just left field. There's no logic behind this, unless he wants a college job. And when I say college job, I'm talking about Mississippi State. And I could see Mississippi State, who they're for those of you who don't know, Mike Leach, one of my favorite coaches of all time, passed away. So the interim head coach is their defensive coordinator, and that's an interesting job. Now, if I'm Mississippi State, Byron Leftwich makes a lot of sense because he's an NFL coach. Even though I don't know if his college experience may not even have any, but because he has NFL ties, maybe an interesting big name to get in, because you could bring Leftwich in and you could keep everybody else the same. That kind of works. Is there any logic behind this? No, there's not. But let's say you're Byron Leftwich. If you can't get an NFL head coaching job, do you want to stay in Tampa? All right. If you don't want to stay in Tampa, do you want to go to the college ranks? And to be honest, I think that the only way he would go to college would be a place like Mississippi State, which would be able to pay him the same as if you were an NFL head coach. And plus, if it doesn't work out in Mississippi State, you can always go back to the NFL as an offensive coordinator. Plus, you'll have 20 to 50 million, depending on the contract. So that's kind of my thought process. Does Tampa Bay want to move on from Leftwich? No, because he's their best option. Do you want to move on from Brady? I think Brady holds the cards. I think if Brady wants to come back, you bring Brady back. If Leftwich wants to come back, you bring Leftwich back. Do you start Trask? Okay. I don't think I think they picked him in the second round. I liked him. I'm speculating here. Somebody who's in Tampa Bay, you tell me. Somebody else tell me, because I don't know. My guess is that they're not very high on Trask. That's my guess. I think he was a late second round pick. I loved him coming out of college, and I think he fit Bruce Arians' offense perfectly. He's a big kid, strong arm, pocket passer. That's kind of what Arians wants, and that's what he's always like. Roethlisberger was kind of a mobile guy, but Andrew Luck also a mobile guy, but Carson Palmer was kind of a statue back there. Tom Brady pretty much a statue. And the Bruce Arians offense was very different than in a lot of NFL offenses. It was actually deep to short, where when you go through progressions, normally you go short to deep. And that was one thing that Brady kind of struggled with, but caught on and ended up playing really well under Arians. Of course, there's a lot of rumors that Brady didn't like Arians yelling at him. It's hard to say if that's true or not, but under the coaching staff they currently have, it doesn't seem like Trask is really that option. So what you would probably do in that type of situation where Brady moves on, Leftwich moves on, it depends on who your offensive coordinator would be, because you could very easily go with somebody from the college ranks. You may be able to get Will Levis, whatever. I need to figure that out, because I'm going to talk about him quite a bit, because he's going to be a big name come draft time. Anthony Richardson, are you in a position that you're able to draft him? He's rocketing up draft boards. I think he's going to go a lot higher than people think. Do you want to roll the dice with a guy who maybe has a second round grade? The kid out of Washington State, I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. Do you want to go ahead and roll the dice with him? There's going to be several quarterbacks that are going to come out that you may want to go ahead and say, hey, this is the guy we want to give a chance to. Nobody's talking about Jalen Daniels, the LSU quarterback. He's had a lot of really big moments. I think he needs the NFL 20, but he's got some athleticism, some interesting arm talent. If you're Tampa Bay, do you have the ability to trade up? Do you want to mortgage the future for a quarterback this year? There's a lot of stories here with Tampa Bay. I can't give you a definite answer. What I do think is going to happen is I think everybody's going to come back. I think everybody's going to come back if Tampa Bay gets knocked out early in the playoffs. I really think that they want to get everybody back. I really do. By the way, you never know. You never know what Seattle's going to do in the draft. Seattle's one of those crazy teams in the draft. The guy that they chose, who's their starting inside linebacker, is also from Texas Tech. I'm drawing a complete blank on his name. They could have drafted Patrick Queen. I blasted the Seahawks when they didn't do that. They should have took Patrick Queen. I think Patrick Queen would have been a better player, but they like this kid, and he's their starting inside linebacker. He's one of the leaders in the NFL in tackles. He's not a bad player. He's also from Texas Tech. Could have anything to do with it. That, by the way, that's a guy I do think Pete Carroll. Yeah, Tyree Wilson's a guy I think is a Pete Carroll type of guy. I'm going to say that. I do think that like Pete Carroll would look at this guy and say, I like this guy. That's kind of my thought process, because I'll be honest with you. I think when everything is said and done, I think a lot of people are going to look at this guy as like the highest rated edge rusher in the draft. I really think that's going to happen. I think this guy is just going to like wow people. Not sure if Rodgers will be willing to not keep adding to his Hall of Fame resume too much on pride and money. Absolutely not coming back to coach, just coming back to town. I'm missing some stuff here. I apologize. Too much money for Orange Cool. I think the Aaron's red pin thing was a real story. Red pin thing. I'm not familiar with the red pin, but I know that Aaron's and Tom Brady did. There was a lot of rumors that Brady did not like being yelled at. Bruce Arians yelled at everybody. He just did not give a fuck. And I also think that a lot of people are kind of looking at this and they're saying maybe we should just roll with Arians here. And a lot of people think that Arians was forced out by Brady. It's hard to say. That's kind of an interesting story. Does Brady come back? Does he want to come back? I'm not sure. There's a lot of things. One thing I learned about Campbell is that's not true. That is not true. There's been take a look at Thanksgiving. He took his foot off the gas Thanksgiving. So that's not true. He took his foot off the gas Thanksgiving, and bad coaching cost you the game on Thanksgiving. He does take his foot off the gas. That's the problem, is that when they're down, he's let's go for it. And if you want to look at the fake punt and say, well, Dan, what about fake punt? But that's the problem, is that when they get the lead, they do take the foot off the gas. They really do. And that's one of the things I don't like about Dan Campbell and that's what I worry about, the X's and O's. He's a guy, if you're down, I love Dan Campbell, but when you're up, he completely takes his foot off the gas. That's the biggest knock I have about Campbell, is he takes his foot off. So I disagree with you there. But I'm also here. You're in Detroit, you know, and I didn't watch the whole Minnesota Detroit game. I lied to you. I said I wasn't, and I didn't. I got about halfway through the second quarter. I am going to watch it today or tomorrow. I will watch, I promise. There's a lot of talk about this kid, and I don't know his name, and he's been rocketing up draft boards. I think he's going to end up being a second, third round pick, and there's a lot of people that really like him. A lot of people really like him. I'm telling you, Richardson compares to Josh Allen. Their skill sets are the same to me. There's a lot of similarities. He's got a lot of size, the arm strength. I actually think that he's they're both like NFL tight ends, but Josh Allen's bigger. Josh Allen's like 6'5", 240. Richardson's like 6'4", 230. But there's a lot of similarities. I have a hard time really pigeonholing Richardson into a comp, but yeah. I think Seattle should draft D-line with the first pick. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And to be honest, I think they like Tyree Wilson. I think they like somebody who can do a lot of things. I also think they can go Jalen Carter. I also think Seattle could trade down. Bottom line, Seattle's a weird team when it comes to the draft. They nailed last year's draft. It was the first time in several years that they didn't. It was the first time in several years. Oh, Vance Joseph's coming back to town. Okay. He didn't take it off. And I didn't watch the whole game. Okay. He did on Thanksgiving. And that's one of the things he's done. And that's the reason why the Lions have blown big leads, is because he has taken his foot off the gas. Did he do it in the Vikings game? I don't know. I didn't watch the whole thing. But he 100% did take the foot off the gas on Thanksgiving, because on Thanksgiving, they went for the tie instead of going for the win. And you could watch it. And he's also done that consistently throughout the year. And it's one of the things that made me question, is Dan Campbell really, because he's shown some struggles with time management. He's shown some struggles with X's and O's. But the Detroit Lions are, if not the hottest team in the NFL, one of the hottest teams in the NFL. So, and I didn't watch the whole game. I will, though. I will, because what I saw so far, I was very impressed with the Lions' defensive line beating the Vikings' offensive line. I was not expecting that. But I also wanted to see more of Goff, because I didn't see any of those bombs yet. So I'm going to watch it. So just don't he's a guy that's rocketing up draft boards. I really want to see how he does in the Senior Bowl. And when I say how he does in the Senior Bowl, is I would on the Senior Bowl, the game's always important, but I want to hear how he interacts in the practice. I want to hear if other players gravitate towards him. I want to see how his arm looks. I want to see how his mechanics look. When he was playing at SC in the SEC, he's playing with less talent than against other teams. So I want to see what he does when everything's pretty much the same. And when he goes with top-tier talent, because he didn't have that at Kentucky. So that's going to be very interesting. This is a guy, there's the articles by, I think, Chad Reader from the NFL Network, top 20 players. Tyree Wilson was one. Will Levis is number 2. So Jared Verse, I'm going to watch a lot more of him. He's been rocketing up draft boards. I think he's second, third round pick now. It'll be hard to say. The red pin thing is when Arians would come into the room after Brady and Byron would have a game plan. Arians would come in and cross off the majority of plays. They would come up. I didn't know that. I did not know that. And I'll be honest, that doesn't really sound like Arians. Arians was somebody who's always kind of a risk taker, but I was not aware of that. But there's a lot of rumors that the only reason Arians was sent to the front office was because of Brady. A lot of people think like Brady kind of orchestrated this whole thing. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens this offseason. But he didn't take it off against the Jags. I didn't watch that game. I will take your word for it. It doesn't look like it from the score being 40-14. But does Campbell take his foot off the gas? The answer is yes. Has he done it throughout the year? The answer is yes. Is he learned and adapted? I don't know. Has he? Because if he has adapted and changed and improved, that just makes the Lions more dangerous. But to sit here and say that, he never takes his foot off the gas, that's not true. That's just simply not true. And you can go back to the almost the whole season to find out that he's done that. Bears getting that spanking. You know what, man? Slasher, man, it's great to see you, brother. I called that earlier. I missed that, but I wouldn't take an NFL team to cover 8.5. But if I had to pick that, I would take Philly to cover 8.5. I do like them a lot. Who do you think is leader for Coach of the Year? For me, it's Nick Sirianni, the coach of the Eagles, because I think there was a lot of question marks about that team. And for me, it's Nick Sirianni. Getting the name wrong. That would be my pick. I'd love to have Andy Reid get some consideration because of Mahomes. That kind of cancels it out. Zach Taylor actually deserves some credit. Dan Campbell's done an excellent job. 1-6 to possibly making the playoffs. I have no idea how many teams in NFL history have started 1-6 and made the playoffs. It's got to be less than 5. I can't think of a team off the top of my head. So Dan Campbell deserves some consideration there. For me, it's Nick Sirianni, but Dan Campbell. I think Andy Reid deserves some consideration. Zach Taylor for Cincinnati, because they started off at 0-2, and they're in really good shape to win that division. Some people may say Mike McDaniel. I'm not one of them. But what was it? Sean McDermott, the Bills head coach, probably deserves some votes. For me, Nick Sirianni, he's just done a phenomenal job. Are you putting action down on 8.5? That's a big number, man. I would have took the Steelers. Pickett was paying. I love Steelers as a dog, but I don't like Trubisky. You know what? That's very ironic, because that's the next game on the docket. Pittsburgh's a 3-point road dog. Carolina. Let me do this here. Carolina is a 3-point home favorite against the Steelers. Over under is 37. I do not know who's starting. I didn't get a chance to research that before the show. If you missed it, I had some craziness happen an hour right before the show. I had to change a lot of things. I didn't have a chance to research things, so I had to change a lot of things earlier. I like the Steelers. This is one of my upset picks, and I don't really care who's going to play quarterback. I think Pickett's playing. I don't know that for a fact. You guys would have to tell me, but that's one of my upset picks this week on my weekly picks video, which I should have put the link to the description below, and I apologize. I like Pittsburgh to cover and win. I like them to win outright. They're 3-point dogs. What the fuck am I meaning cover? Yeah, I like Pittsburgh here. I like Pittsburgh, to be honest with you. Carolina is 4-3 at home. Carolina is a good home team, and I'm fully aware they beat Seattle last week. I like Pittsburgh here. First afternoon game, New England travels to Vegas to play the Raiders. Raiders are a 1.5-point favorite. Over under is 45. Belichick, McDaniels matchups interesting. Belichick struggled against his previous coordinators, and I think that the odds makers are kind of taking note. The Raiders, God, if they didn't choke, they would be fighting for a wild card spot. They're not mathematically eliminated, but they're pretty much out. They have to have some craziness, but they do have to win this game. Even if the Raiders win this game, they're not. They need some help in order to get into the playoffs. The Patriots do need this win to get in. The Patriots have. Let me see here. I should have this memorized, and I don't. I apologize. Okay, the Raiders are 5-8. The Patriots are 7-6. All right. So as far as the AFC is concerned, if the playoffs were to start today, the Patriots would, thanks to a tiebreaker, have the 7 seed over the Chargers and the Jets. So the Raiders, even though they're 2 games back, I mean, they're 2 back with 4 to play. That pretty much means you're out. So the Raiders, they lose, they're out. Like they're done. New England could lose and still be in it. I like New England here. That's my pick. They're technically 1.5-point underdogs. I like New England to win outright. I didn't really. I'll be honest with you. When I did my picks, I don't remember who was favored in this game, but I think this has been. I think a lot of actions shifted towards the Raiders here in the last couple of days. But I like New England to win outright. Next up, Arizona at Denver. Denver's a 1.5-point favorite. Over under 36.5. If you're not aware, it's going to be Colt McCoy against Brett Rippon. I'm going to stick with my original prediction, and I like the under in this game. I would never bet an NFL under 36.5 because you get a defensive or a special teams touchdown. It's game over. I like Denver to win and cover because it's 1.5. On my picks video, I predicted 18-16. That sounds fair to me, which would cover the under and the 1.5. So I think Denver wins this week with Brett Rippon. Brett Rippon did not look bad against Kansas City with a full week to prepare. Supposedly, Russell Wilson did pass protocol, but they're going to go with Rippon. Rippon, as the times he's come in, he's not played bad. I don't think he's an NFL starter, but he's pretty decent backup. It wouldn't surprise me if Brett Rippon's in the NFL for like 15, 20 years as a backup. Smart enough to play, good enough arm to it's below average NFL arm strength, but good enough to make some throws. I think this will be a good game. I do like Denver to win. That Seattle loss and the Giants with the tie actually helped them. It helped the Lions to be that loss to Seattle head-to-head. Who's the odd team out between Lions, Seattle, Giants, Washington? Okay. Seattle holds the tiebreaker against the Lions. Lions hold the tiebreaker against the Giants. And then it comes down to divisional records with Washington. Granted, Washington and the Giants have a tie. Okay. So here's what I think is going to happen. I think I haven't called it yet, but let's just do it right now because this is a good question. Sunday night football, Giants at Washington. Washington's now a 5-point favorite to over under 40.5. I like Washington to win. I think it's going to be a close game. I wouldn't bet this game because I don't think Washington can cover 5. I do think they win outright, which I know is crazy, but these two play to a 20-20 tie. I would not touch this game with a 10-foot pole, but I do like Washington to win. Who's the odd team out between the Lions, Seattle, Giants, and Washington? Okay, I think the Giants are going to be out. I think that they were kind of winning with smoke and mirrors. They really weren't that good of a team. Saquon Barkley, if he can stay healthy, makes the Giants a threat. He's been banged up. He's been questionable, and so is his effectiveness. We talked about the tractor and the trailer earlier in the show. Daniel Jones is definitely the trailer. Tyler Heinicke is also the trailer. But out of these two quarterbacks, which one I like better? I actually like Heinicke better. And then I like I like Washington's defense. Slightly better than New York's defense. New York does have pretty good defense. I don't know if Leonard Williams is going to play. He's easily the Giants' best defensive lineman. He's been banged up. So I like Washington to beat the Giants. Seattle, lost last week. They come to Arrowhead next week. I don't see Seattle coming to Arrowhead and winning a game that Kansas City really needs. Now, keep in mind, Kansas City gets some crazy injuries or something. I may have a different tune, but so out of these teams, I think Seattle and the Giants are going to be out. Now, I think Washington makes it. All right, so let's go back here. So Washington will have the spot over the Giants, right? So right now, the way it works, Washington will have the 6th seed. So the answer is Washington will have the 6th seed. I think the Giants with a loss will be 7-6-1. Technically, they will be in the 7th spot. All right. I think that they lose another game. The Lions' schedule, on the other hand, let's take a look here. At the Jets, at Carolina, Chicago at home. All right. At Carolina is going to be a tough game, but they should be able to win at Chicago. Let's take a look at the Giants. At Minnesota, and then ending the season at Philly. Okay, they're not going to get those wins. Let's take a look at Washington. Just double check. Washington, end of the year schedule. At San Francisco, that's a tough one. Cleveland. They end the season with Dallas. Is Dallas playing for the 1 seed, or are they just resting starters? Could be resting starters. All right. The way it is right now today, my prediction for the playoffs will be Washington will get the 6 and the Lions will get the 7. It's so crazy that games like Lions, Jets, Jags have playoff implications. It's a crazy season, man. Crazy season. Because we live in a parallel universe where the Lions and the Jets are good teams and the Steelers. It's a crazy year, man. Another one of my upset picks, Cincinnati at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's a 3.5-point home dog, the over-under being 45. I didn't check the weather report here, and I should have. I apologize for not doing that. I made a lot of mistakes today. Tampa Bay's a 3.5-point home dog. I like Tampa Bay here. I think they win outright. Probably my biggest upset of the week. I also predicted they would beat San Francisco and lost by 4 touchdowns. I get that. I think Tampa Bay is going to turn it around. I know the Bengals have been hot. This is just one of those weird games I like. I can't believe it. I'm going to pick like 4 straight upsets here. No, I'm sorry, I'm not. Okay, because Denver's not an upset, but I'm going to pick 4 out of 5 because I like Pittsburgh, I like the Patriots, I like Tampa Bay, and my final afternoon game, Tennessee travels to L.A. to play the Chargers. Chargers are a 3-point favorite. Over-under is 46.5. Titans have lost 3 straight and have sucked lately. I like the Titans to rebound. One of the worst rushing defenses in the NFL against Derrick Henry. I said the same thing last week. I was dead wrong. Titans get it turned around against the Chargers. So almost every single game's an upset. And then we talked about Sunday Night Football. Monday Night Football is interesting. I think ultimately Chiefs get that top seed in the AFC with a much lighter schedule than the Bills. It's weird that the Bengals have the Chiefs number. Chiefs have Bills number in a way. Don't know about Bills Cincy. So you're right. Here's the deal. The Chiefs match up pretty good against the Bills, believe it or not. I know the Bills beat the Chiefs in regular season. Don't care. In the playoffs, the Chiefs have had the Bills number. And until the Bills beat Kansas City in the playoffs, that's a true statement. The Cincinnati Bengals just match up really well against Kansas City. The Bengals and the Bills play in a couple weeks, and that's going to be a fun game. I do like Kansas City to get the 1 seed. I really do. Even though they lost to Cincinnati, which I didn't expect, I do think that they'll end up with the 1 seed. And they're the team nobody wants to play. Nobody wants to play Kansas City in the playoffs. That's a team that you really don't want to play. And I'll be honest, if I'm the Chiefs, I'd rather play the Bills than the Bengals, to be perfectly honest, because I think that they know they can beat the Bills. I think they have some questions because the Bengals match up really, really well. So you're like all my picks except the Bills. Plus, so let me show this again. Here's what we got. No, I like the Patriots. The Bears +7. I would lean towards the Eagles, but I wouldn't go either way. I love the Titans pick. Packers -7. Okay, well let's do this. Let's do this. LA Rams at Green Bay. Green Bay is a 7-point home favorite. Over under 39.5. It's going to be Baker Mayfield against Aaron Rodgers. I'd lean towards Green Bay. I'm actually really excited to see this because I want to know what the future is for Baker Mayfield because I could see Baker Mayfield staying in LA as Matt Stafford's backup with the potential to be the starter. You got to work things out with the contract. I don't know how you do that. You sign him for like a 2-year contract with a massive amount of incentives. Do you just say, hey, thank you, goodbye, just like they did with Von Miller and OBJ? That could also happen. It's going to be really interesting. This is going to be a great story. I do like Green Bay. I don't know if they can cover 7 because they've had a hard time doing this. But I will say this, Amazement. I love your Titans pick because I 100% think they win outright. I disagree on the Raiders because I like the Patriots to win. I really do. And I'm leaning towards the Eagles, but I don't hate that. I'll be honest, I don't hate that. So. But I hope you win all your picks because I have no action. Bengals, if they beat the Bills, would have beaten every team in the AFC playoff picture this season. Is that true? That's right, because they play New England. So here's the deal with the Bengals, and their schedule is brutal, by the way. At Tampa Bay, at New England, and then 2 home games, Buffalo and Baltimore. And by the way, they lost to Baltimore earlier this year on the road, so that game could be for the division. But if the Bengals win out, then absolutely. But they have to play New England. That's going to be a great game, to tell you the truth, because I think the Bengals are experiencing some problems down the road. I really do. Their offensive line is healthy. That's a lot to do with it. Burrow has to stay healthy. He takes a lot of punishment. Joe Mixon, I think, is coming back. And if I read the injury report correctly, Higgins and Boyd missed a few practices, but they'll be okay and ready to go. So Cincinnati's the team that's very dangerous, but those next 4 games are tough, and I think they get a few losses. With Buffalo, they have Miami at home, at Chicago. Then their last 2 games are pretty tough. It's at Cincinnati and then home the last game of the year against New England, and they got to win out because Kansas City's schedule the last 4 weeks of the seasons is probably the easiest of any NFL team, to be honest, or any NFL playoff team. You got at Houston, then you get home games against Seattle and Denver, and then at the Raiders. So the Raiders, if they're out of the playoff picture, which I think they will be, they could be substituting players. It's hard to say. I think that they look at it like a playoff game and just go balls to the wall. But I'll be honest with you, it's really, really, really hard to say. So I can't see how the Pats beat the Raiders with that dreadful offense. Plus, I think the Raiders get Waller back and some guys. You know what? Their offense isn't good, but their defense is. I mean, their defense is really good, and the Raiders' defense isn't. Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson, both of them are kind of iffy, but both the Patriots rookie running backs didn't play bad. And the Raiders defense is not good. I mean, it's just not. Arizona's defense has some playmakers. The Raiders defense really doesn't. They got some edge rushers. I get it. I get it. I mean, Raiders are at home. One thing about New England, Bill Belichick does not play well against his former assistants. That you can go back in time and find that out, but that's always been one of them. I like the Patriots. I've been really high on the Patriots all year and missed some games earlier. Remember, I lost a lot of money on them on Monday night. I made $225 in-game bets against when they played against the Bears. Got beat like 32-14 or something. I've been higher on New England. Maybe I shouldn't be. Seriously, Matt Patricia, when they had like a 5-win team or whatever, he beat New England. I was going back. I was going back. I remember Eric Mangini when he got fired from the Browns. He beat New England, a team that went 14-2, I think. And so there's been times where you can go through NFL history and you can see where Belichick struggled against his former assistants. That is a trend, and that's something that's always been a trend of Belichick. So I get the logic here, but and Josh Jacobs. By the way, Josh Jacobs banged up. He's going to play, but he's banged up, and that's going to. One thing about New England is that I have a hard time thinking that New England, both Stevenson and Harris, are not going to play, because you get one of those guys, then you have a better running game. Even though Josh Jacobs is the NFL's leading rusher, I believe that's still true. Even though he's the NFL's leading rusher, that's what you got. So hey man, it wouldn't upset. I think the Titans. I do like the Titans a lot. Henry will run over that defense. Charles, yeah. I think the Titans are a team that can circle the wagon. So here's what I like about the Titans. Here's why I like a better coaching staff. I think they're really going to play. I think they're going to be pissed off. They have a better defense, and they're better at running the ball. Is Herbert a better quarterback than Tannehill? Absolutely. I mean, there's no question. But defense, coaching, running game, it wouldn't surprise me if we see some crazy Henry shit, or like Henry, 36 carries, 205 yards, and 3 touchdowns. It wouldn't surprise me if we see some shit like that. It really wouldn't. I think the Titans are really going to circle the wagons. I love the Titans. here. So I got several upsets. So, all right, guys. I'm even hesitant to say this because I'm pretty sure it's not going to happen. I'm mainly talking to Denver Gator because I know Denver Gator said that he would be interested. There's an outside chance that I may go live for the Chiefs Texans and call the game, do play-by-play. It's something I've been wanting to do. It's just that my schedule is really off. I'm up all night. I sleep all day. Those of you from the 80s may remember that. Or 90s. Is it 80s or 90s? Anyway, because I may not even wake up till about third quarter and then watch the game on DVR, which is what I usually do. There's a good chance I may not call the game. That's something I've been wanting to do. Is that I've noticed some other YouTube channels call the game, and I thought about trying to give it a shot. When Kansas City was playing Denver, I actually practiced calling the game, and it was a lot harder than I thought. But it's something I did want to try, so I'm hesitant even to bring it up. But there's an outside chance I may call and just go on YouTube and live stream. When I say live stream, due to regulations, I can't show the game live, but I can do play-by-play. The YouTube would be just me talking just like I'm doing here. It's just I would be doing play-by-play because there's a lot of markets that don't have the Chiefs-Texans game. And a lot of things on Facebook, I've seen a lot of people that I got a lot of Chiefs fans on Facebook that are complaining because they can't see the game because they're going to watch some other local games. So I thought about doing it live and seeing if it gets some traction. But due to my schedule today, tomorrow, and Sunday morning, it's pretty unlikely, even though it's something I have been wanting to try. So if there's an outside chance I do call it, I'll set up the stream just hours before the game, so it'll be kind of a game time decision. For those of you who are expecting a guest, I apologize. I have no idea what happened. Again, I'm speculating that he saw all my anti-parlay stuff and his 4 parlay picks, all of them missed. And I also was, before he blocked me, I sent him some information about, hey, are you going to talk about, your math, your odds? And he didn't say anything in return. So I'm guessing that he just didn't have the data to really come on. And I don't know, but I apologize because I just found out an hour before the show. So I changed some thumbnails in the description and I just threw some shit up. So. Have you thought about doing the play? I did, but I mean, they're all going to be on prime time, so I don't think anybody'd want to watch a primetime game. I did think about it because I think it'd be a lot of fun, and I really want to do it. I'm thinking about doing all the Chiefs games next year, doing every single game. By the way, next year I'm going to do my picks show. I'm going to do picks, and I'm going to have my record and against the spread record just up for everybody to see, so you can see how bad I can pick games. I haven't been keeping a running tally the last couple of weeks, but it's something I'm going to do next year. I might do the playoffs game. That's an interesting. That's it. I'm leaning against it because it's going to be on prime time, and there's some really good announcers. I know that people are always critical about people doing announcing, but I tried practicing during the Denver game and it was really hard. I'm leaning towards not doing it this week, but I do want to do it. I may do 1 or 2 of the games later. If it was a afternoon game, I would definitely do it because it's a noon game. I may not. It's just due to my schedule. It is what it is. So. You know what? God, that's an interesting. You know what? Maybe I should do the playoffs. It might be interesting. I'm not sure how many people would really want to tune in to watch me do a playoff game versus doing a regular season game. Because the regular season game against the Texans makes sense because you're not broadcasting worldwide. And I've seen a lot of people in Facebook groups that I'm in. By the way, you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. So, maybe I will. Maybe I will. Again, I'll set up the link and I'll advertise it on social media if I do go live. A lot of things are going to happen, but it's unlikely, but it's possible. If that's it, I'm going to wrap up. Guys, thank you so much. If you don't mind, give me a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, it looks like we're all regulars here. I don't recognize anybody I haven't seen before. But if you are new or you're seeing this for the first time, please hit that subscribe button. It's a great community. And for those of you who are on the stream, you know who I am. Been here before. I do share this. I try to get this community to grow. I'm almost at 900, so I'm really excited about that. So, guys, thank you so much. All my social media links are below. Also, check out my picks video, which I do not have the link for, but you can go to my YouTube channel and find it. Do check out my picks. I almost nailed San Francisco, Seattle perfect. I had 21-19. It was 21-13. That's pretty fucking good. It's pretty fucking good. So with that said, I am out. Have a great weekend. I'll see everybody back on Tuesday.